All right, Shalom. Want to start by saying, call Allah, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM Wakakadash. Double honors to the Apostle of Israel, aka the Apostle of Great Millstone, and peace and love to all the Akim. Continue to preach the truth and all truth and sincerity. Real quick, we brought this video on through the spirit of Yahweh, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. 2 articles, but I'm bringing out one. I might bring out both of them, but I'm bringing out this one for sure. And this is what I use for the thumbnail. So it's from the Business Insider, military defense section, and it says, the war in Ukraine has opened Pandora's box in Europe, and now new strike weapons are on the way, nuclear weapons, experts say. Nuclear weapons, expert says. So this is expert nuclear weapons, right? So, couple of things. You have, these are similar articles that said the U.S. plans to deploy long-range weapons in Europe, and its allies are bolstering their arsenals. Okay, that's this one. And it says NATO and Russia are entering dangerous territory with risk of escalation. So this is what's going on right now in the world. Escalation of war with Russia and NATO, America, so on and so forth. And you already have the war going on with Ukraine and Russia, and you already have the war going on with them small hats and Palestine and Ishmael going on as we speak. So this right here is going to continue to escalate until it goes to until it reaches its climax, and that climax is going to be when Yahawashi returns. So all these things is building up to these nations getting ready to go to war with each other, and then Yahawashi coming in the midst of it. So I'll go right to the article. So it says, in its brutal war against Ukraine, Russia has used theater ballistic and cruise missiles, as well as one-way attack drones to hammer Ukrainian cities. And there's been a recognition that Russia could fight the West with capabilities the latter has let a trophy. Let's go into that word, a trophy. Oops. Okay. The word a trophy means a wasting away through lack of nourishment, a wasting away, abstract, ill-fed. So with that context, oops. So it said, and there's been a recognition that Russia could fight the West with capabilities the latter has let a trophy waste away. So it says, these deep strikes and other elements of the war have been eye-opening for Europe and the U.S. Opening Pandora's box for more military capabilities. An expert in nuclear weapons and arms control told Business Insider. New weapons and deployments are coming, raising concerns of escalation not seen since the Cold War, which I believe was in the 60s. So it says, earlier this month, the U.S. and several NATO allies announced multiple plans relating to long-range strike capabilities. First, the U.S. said it would place new long-range fires in Germany beginning in 2026 with episodic deployments as part of planning for enduring stationing of these capabilities in the future. So this is the future right now, war. As said, the conventional weapons include the SM-6, the Tomahawk, and development hypersonic missiles, which have significantly longer range than current land-based fires in Europe. Not long after several European nations signed a joint initiative to develop new ground-launched cruise missiles. At the time, France's defense minister, Sébastien Lecornu, said it was clearly a segment we don't have. Poland, Germany, and Italy also agreed to the plan and said they intended to bring in more allies. So what is this doing? This is what? The nations preparing war. The Gentiles preparing war. And it says these plans signal the U.S. and some of its biggest European allies are all on long-range weapons. And some officials are directly attributing the move to what's happening on the battlefield in Ukraine. So what's going on with Russia and Ukraine? So that means Russia is the reason for all of this. The war of Russia and Ukraine. And it says the war in Ukraine showed that long-range strikes are a key issue for the defense of Europe, Le Cornu posted on X. It says the war has exposed vulnerabilities and capability gaps for Europe in the face of Russian aggression. So this is NATO and the U.S. talk about aggression from Russia and the defense for the Ukraine and so on and so forth in the other countries. So which means that the third war approaches quickly. It says these countries knew that long-range weapons were important even before Russia invaded Ukraine. But Russia's war in Ukraine has opened Pandora's box to more and more military steps. Hans Christensen, the director of Nuclear Information Project at the Federation of American Scientists, said. It says conventional long-range strike capabilities are useful for engaging targets deep within enemy territory. They can make a huge difference operationally and strategically, especially if used to cut off enemy logistics and command centers. Their presence is threatening enough to potentially deter aggression. This is what's going on right now. This is talking about against Russia. And it says Russia's aggression. It's talking about defense. So that means that they're trying to defend themselves against Russia, just in case they have to go to war with Russia, being what's going on with Ukraine. It says a challenge is that these weapon systems risk escalation, both in their presence and use. Christensen said there was a risk of a tit-for-tat escalation posturing. These weapons can also be used at a moment's notice, and they can cause confusion for a nuclear power uncertain of the payload. They go nuclear again. And it says, for decades, the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty between the U.S. and Russia prohibited the development of ground-launched ballistic and cruise missiles with ranges of 500 kilometers to 5,000 kilometers in order to prevent either side from escalating tensions into full-blown conflict, which that's about to go away. Because they're going to get into the conflict is going to happen. And it says the treaty was an important landmark in keeping these weapons off the European continent, but the U.S. withdrew in 2019, and it accused Moscow of violating the 1987 pact by developing, testing, and fielding the SSC-8/9M729 missile system. It says Moscow denied the allegations and later pulled out of the treaty as well, immediately opened the floodgates for both sides to ramp up the development of new missiles. So that's what's been happening all these years. They've been developing new missiles. And it says, Moscow denied, okay, yeah. So it says Poland, Germany, France, and Italy's new long-range missile plans follow work in the U.S. to quickly develop new long-range strike systems. The U.S. tested its first previously banned missile the same month it withdrew from the INF treaty. Oh, let's read that again. So it says, Poland, Germany, France, and Italy's new long-range missile plans follow work in the U.S. to quickly develop new long-range strike systems. The U.S. tested its first previously banned missile the same month it withdrew from the INF treaty. So what? Everybody's getting ready for war. Beat your plowshares into swords. They're preparing, getting their missiles ready, getting their nuclear arsenal ready, man. Because the third world war is about to pop off soon. All we need is that micro C-hip. Once they start getting that going, Jacob Trouble's going to start going. Everything's going to start falling in line towards the actually very end of America and Esau's kingdom. It says among the system in the works, Typhoon, which used a ground-based launcher to fire the SM-6 and a Tomahawk, is a top priority. The Army's long-range hypersonic weapon is also in the works, though it's facing some delays and funding issues. The efforts within Europe to develop new long-range strike weapon systems signal an important change in thinking. For decades, European states ignored the larger shift toward a need for standoff deep strike capabilities. Deep strike! And it says cutting surface-to-surface missile programs and larger defense spending across the board. They go more, and what are they spending? Money, taxpayers' money. And it says right now, with concerns of further Russia aggression against NATO, members running high in the conflict in Ukraine, continuing with no end in sight. No end in sight, because it's not going to be an end in sight until YAHAWASHI comes back. Okay, and it says the wind is in the sails of the defense hawks and the defense industry to persuade leaders to buy new weapons to demonstrate they're doing something to stand up to Russia, Christensen said. So this is against Russia. But this is going to be a third world war. This is going to be all the countries involved. And Russia is basically the America of the East. Basically, that's all Russia is. They're the big bad Edomite country in the East. And America is the big bad Edomite country in the West. And the NATO countries are in the middle. And it says there's been noteworthy shift for many European nations toward bolstering their own domestic defenses rather than relying on the U.S. because the U.S. about to have their hands full. And it says, but it's not necessarily all about Russia. Part of that, Christensen said, could be anxieties around how U.S. support for NATO could change under a second Donald Trump presidency. Because I remember what Donald Trump, he said it's going to be a change if he became president amongst NATO. And it says, it is entirely expected that European countries would develop their own weapons, initiatives that have become more important with the prospect of President Trump reducing the U.S. commitment to Europe, he said. But we'll see how that goes if he wins. And Lord willing, he does win. But at the end of the day, no matter Trump wins or whoever wins, the third world's still going to come, and YAHAWASHI is still going to put all you Edomites and all you heathen into slavery. You can't change that end, okay? And however you have it done, that's the Lord's will anyway. So call Lord YAHAWASHI because it's the Lord's will. All right? And it says, Trump has repeatedly criticized the NATO alliance, often complaining that many nations don't pull their weight in the I would think about that. Don't pull their weight in the group's collective defenses, and has even suggested that he'd let Russia attack members who don't pay their share of the budget. And that's the end of the article. So the end of the article says, it is entirely expected that European countries, it says Trump has repeatedly criticized the NATO alliance, often complaining that many nations don't pull their weight in the group's collective defenses, and has even suggested he had let Russia attack members who don't pay their share of the budget. Now remember, he did meet with Putin a little ways back. He did meet with Putin a little ways back. Who knows what the discussion was? It could be for this very time we're in now. Oh, I just got it. It says Kamala Harris leads Donald Trump 44% to 42% in the presidential race. I'm just get a couple scriptures real quick. Matter of fact, this is what I'm going to read. I'm going to read 2nd Esdras 13, right? I'm going to start from verse 2. So it says, this is 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse 2, and it says, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, and it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. I gotta get back on the road real quick. Hold on. Hold on. So this is 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse 7. I'm gonna jump down to verse 8. And this is what's leading up to. So when these nations is getting ready to get it in, right? These nations about to fight. Just think about this. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse 8. And it reads, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. Because that's gonna be the other nations. Once all that nuclear war, once they get into the nuclear war, and once, they're fighting each other, America, Russia, China, all the nations. That's when the Lord said, what? He shall judge all the heathen round about. And that's the day we're coming into, man. Because all these nations not going to all come to America to fight, but they're going to be fighting amongst from their land, shooting missiles back and forth. And that's how you know, and so how every eye is going to see him. That's how you just think about it. That's how you're going to come back to the earth. Everybody's going to have their eyes on this war stuff. This is going to be the talk. And remember, it said in the article, it said it's without an end. This is not going to stop. This ain't going. All respective parties is not going to just get back together and be like, yo, we should stop. No. It said though they fear, they durst fight. So all this building up, all this war, they're going to fight each other, and then they're going to fight against the Lord. The war in the heavens. And they're going to lose. And the scriptures say he's going to turn them into dust. Hold on. In verse 9 it says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. So all that nuclear missiles, all that money they've been spending on this, he ain't going to do nothing. And he ain't paid for nothing. He is the fire. It says what? Verse 10, it says, but I only saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been, a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, and they were all mixed together, the blast of the fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon a multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon the son of an innumerable multitude nothing was to perceive, but only dust and a smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. So Ezra saw the nations go against the Lord. He saw them come and fight against YAHAWASHI. And that's what this is all leading up to. Leading up to what Ezra saw, what the angel showed Uriel. I mean, what Uriel showed Esdras. And see, he was afraid. So imagine when it happens in real life, in reality. This is a vision. This is what he showed before it happened. So yeah, man, this is about to go down. No matter what anybody thinks, no matter what you try, no matter what you want to happen, no matter what you think is going to, no. This is going to happen. Thus saith Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.